I'm sure there was a time in your life when somebody asked you to give them the gist of your story, like a back cover blurb, only for you to stare at them in horror at this impossible task without any idea how to begin explaining. Not because your story is empty or lacking in content. On the contrary, because it's so dense and there's so much going on. Where do you even begin? It's brimming with all sorts of characters doing different things with hidden agendas and ulterior motives. There's a ton of cool things going on. But giving a TLDR of everything would not only require a lot of time, but would also trivialize the content. If this is the case, you shouldn't worry or panic. All this means is that what you've got is a low concept story. Low in this case has nothing to do with the value or the status of the work itself. It's not a value judgment. In fact, if we're going by broad categorization, the vast majority of highbrow fiction would land in low concept by default. These are stories driven by the characterization in the unfolding drama, and not by a specific scenario. And to differentiate from this, on the other end, we have high concept. High concept is different. It's when you have a story idea that's immediately communicable. Let me give you an example. A group of Nazis at the height of their power, exploring the Arctic, unearth the ruins of an ancient alien civilization and unleash a long-sleeping horror. Among interested readers, we'd probably already have some easy victims with this. It's likely that anyone who has any kind of interest in World War II or the Arctic or ancient history, aliens, sci-fi or horror would at least be willing to give this a shot. If you're still having trouble figuring out what exactly high concept is, consider Titanic. That's a rather generic love story that could have just have easily taken place in any other scenario. You could replace the Titanic with a train or with a stay at a hotel or whatever else. But it's the magic of it taking place on this famously doomed ship that makes us want to watch it. Another way to think of high concept is to keep in mind that you're trying to sell readers on a certain experience. That might involve a geographical location, a place and time, an event, a group of people. You get the idea. Now, you might reasonably ask, what good does this do for me? My story isn't high concept. It's low concept. And I don't want to write something lowbrow that's the novel equivalent of a popcorn flick. And it really is fine to feel that way. But consider the fact that some of those popcorn flicks are considered masterpieces and are nowhere near as shallow as they might seem. Adding a high-concept scenario to your story is more like changing out the background, not changing the characters or the story itself. You could weave a high-concept scenario into an existing story without losing anything crucial along the way. For this, I'll give an example from television. The Leftovers is a show that starts with the premise that half the population of Earth just disappears overnight. They vanish without a trace. Going by that, you might think it's a mystery show focused on solving the problem, right? But it's not. It's a slow and thoughtful drama largely about how we deal with grief. Nothing in The Leftovers really needed the addition of a high-concept element, but this is probably what drew in viewers that wouldn't have touched the show otherwise. Don't think of this as redefining your story. Think about it as giving your story an edge to make it stand out in the marketplace. If you're writing a romance novel, why not consider it happening on the eve of the apocalypse? At first it might seem insane and ridiculous to do that, or maybe you're worried this would profoundly change what your story is about. But I think what you'll find in most cases is that that's not really true. You're still in charge of the novel and decide where the focus goes. You can use the hook to lure in readers without sacrificing the core and what it's about. I think you'll be surprised how seemingly disparate elements can end up seamlessly fitting together. Just remember, a high concept idea is one that you should be able to express effortlessly. It shouldn't take you 10 minutes or 5 minutes or even really 1 minute. It should take you max a couple of seconds, especially in casual form. Like, a serial killer uses Tesla inventions to kill his victims, or a sci-fi dystopia of a one-world government led by Dracula. Just stick to what you find cool. Because if you think it's cool, somebody else thinks it's cool. People who are on the same frequency as you will be interested in reading what you've written. And don't let the frustration get to you. Don't get mad that you need to apply these strategies to stand out in an inundated market. Try to think of how lucky and blessed we are as storytellers that we can just make up whatever we want. Filmmakers have budget constraints. Even manga artists are limited by time and resources. But you can truly write anything. I mean that. Anything. So why not take advantage of that? As always, if I was lucky enough for you to come across this video, please consider liking and subscribing for more. I'm open to hearing differences in opinions, other feedback, or even recommendations for topics to cover. I'm by no means perfect, and I'm also learning. And God knows there's a long way to go still. Take care, and see you next time.